All right. Hello. It is January the 2nd in 2025. How was your first day of the year yesterday? How did it go? When I lived in Japan, a popular thought was that the way that you spent the first day of the new year was indicative of how you would spend the rest of the year. So, something to think about or contemplate. Also, something to think about and contemplate is that this is the start of the new year according to the calendar that we've been born into. However, there are other choices for calendars. One is something called the International Fixed Calendar, which I recommend you looking into, which makes a whole lot more sense. And I'm also of the mind that it's strange that our new year starts in the middle of winter, in the middle of a season. It's not really a beginning. And to me, it would make more sense if the new year started at the beginning of spring. And then if we make a comparison with the calendars, we notice that things have gone awry a little bit. The fact that the names of the month, which are numerical, which point to something numerological, don't actually match up with the number of the month they are. So, for example, October is the 10th month, but actually Oct is 8. And so, really, it points to being the 8th month, but somehow it isn't. And so, that's something to think about. All right. So, in today's video, we'll just pick up where we left off in the reading of the text. We're jumping in the middle, and then we will go over lesson 2. So, let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay. And we'll bring up the text. So clicking on the read A Course in Miracles, you see the drop down entire Course in Miracles web edition. This opens up the anatomy of the text of the whole course. I'm going to click on text. We are jumping in at chapter 16, the forgiveness of illusions, and we are now at section 3. And the reason why we're jumping here in the middle is that this coincides with the new year at the time that this part was scribed, was scripted, was channeled. All right. So this section is called the reward of teaching. And the premise of this is that we are all teachers. We're all teaching just through the volition of our being. And so through the volition of our being, are we teaching love or are we teaching fear? Are we cultivating peace wherever we go, or are we creating chaos wherever we go? Are we teaching through the ego's thought system of separation and being disconnected and suffering, or are we teaching through the joining of the mind, our mind with God's mind, to bring forth the true perception of who we are, why we're here, that love is a birthright, that peace is only a thought away, and that suffering is a choice, actually. All right, so let's jump in and let's do our best. So, paragraph 1. We have already learned that everyone teaches and teaches all the time. You may have taught well and yet may not have learned how to accept the comfort of your teaching. If you will consider what you have taught and how alien it is to what you thought you knew, you'll be compelled to realize that your teacher came from beyond your thought system. Therefore, he meaning the Holy Spirit, he meaning Jesus, therefore, he could look upon it fairly and perceive it was untrue. He must have done so from the basis of a very different thought system and one with nothing in common with yours. For certainly what he has taught and what you have taught through him have nothing in common with what you taught before he came. And the results have been to bring peace where there was pain, and suffering has disappeared to be replaced by joy. Okay, paragraph 2. You may have taught freedom, but you've not learned how to be free. I said earlier, by their fruits ye shall know them, and they shall know themselves. For it's certain that you judge yourself according to your teaching. The ego's teaching produces immediate results because its decisions are immediately accepted as your choice. And this acceptance means that you are willing to judge yourself accordingly. Cause and effect are very clear in the ego's thought system because all your learning has been directed toward establishing the relationship between them. And would you not have faith in what you have so diligently taught yourself to believe? Yet remember how much you've exerted in choosing its witnesses and in avoiding those which spoke for the cause of truth and its effects. So the ego thought system is born out of the belief and adherence to the separate self, whereas what the Course is teaching is the inherent oneness, that separation is a perception. From the point of view of our divine nature, there is no such thing as cause and effect because there is no such thing as time. This is very difficult for the separated part of our personality, who we think we are, to grasp. And so we're not going to try and grasp it right now. We're only on day 2, even though we're already deep in the text by starting at chapter 16. But let's carry on. So paragraph 3. Does not the fact that you have not learned what you've taught show you that you do not perceive the sonship as one? Sonship means humanity. And does it not always show you that you do not regard yourself as one? For it's impossible to teach successfully wholly without conviction, and it's equally impossible that conviction be outside of you. You could never have taught freedom unless you did believe in it. And it must be that what you taught came from yourself. Yet, this self you clearly do not know and do not recognize it, even though it functions. Yet this self you clearly do not know and do not recognize it, even though it functions. And it's a capital here because it's pointing to a divine self, the Christed self. What functions must be there? And it is only if you deny what it has done that you could possibly deny its presence. Paragraph 4. This is a course in how to know yourself. You've taught what you are, but have not let what you are teach you. You've been very careful to avoid the obvious and not see the real cause and effect relationship that is perfectly apparent. Yet, within you is everything you taught. What can it be that has not learned it? It must be this part that's really outside of yourself, not by your own projection, but in truth. And it is this part that you have taken in that is not you. What you accept into your mind does not really change it. Illusions are but beliefs in what's not there. And the seeming conflict between truth and illusion can only be resolved by separating yourself from the illusion and not from truth. All right, so this is connecting us to the greater part of ourselves. Paragraph 5. Your teaching has already done this, for the Holy Spirit is part of you, created by God. He left neither God nor his creation. He is both God and you, as you are God and him together. For God's answer to the separation added more to you than you tried to take away. He protected both your creations and you together, keeping one with you what you would exclude. And they will take the place of what you took in to replace them. They're quite real as part of the self you do not know. They communicate to you through the Holy Spirit, and their power and gratitude to you for their creation they offer gladly to your teaching of yourself, who is their home. You who are host to God are also host to them, for nothing real has ever left the mind of its creator, and what is not real was never there. Paragraph 6. You are not two selves in conflict. What is beyond God? If you who hold him and whom he holds are the universe, all else must be outside where nothing is. You've taught this, and from far off in the universe, yet not beyond yourself, the witnesses to your teaching have gathered to help you learn. Their gratitude has joined with yours and God's to strengthen your faith in what you taught. For what you taught is true. Alone, you stand outside your teaching and apart from it. But with them, you must learn that you had taught yourself and learn from the conviction you shared with them. Paragraph 7. This year, you will begin to learn and make learning commensurate with teaching. You have chosen this by your own willingness to teach. Though you seem to suffer for it, the joy of teaching will yet be yours, for the joy of teaching is in the learner, who offers it to the teacher in gratitude and shares it with him. As you learn, your gratitude to yourself, who teaches you what he is, will grow and help you honor him, and you will learn his power and strength and purity, and love him as his Father does. His kingdom has no limits and no end, and there is nothing in him that is not perfect and eternal. All this is you, and nothing outside of this is you. Paragraph 8. To your most holy self, all praise is due for what you are, and for what he is who created you as you are. Sooner or later, must everyone bridge the gap he imagines exists between his selves. Each one builds this bridge, which carries him across the gap as soon as he is willing to expend some little effort on behalf of bridging it. His little efforts are powerfully supplemented by the strength of heaven and by the united will of all who make heaven what it is being joined within it. And so the one who would cross over is literally transported there. Paragraph 9. Your bridge is builded stronger than you think, and your foot is planted firmly on it. Have no fear that the attraction of those who stand on the other side and wait for you will not draw you safely across, for you will come where you would be and where yourself awaits you. And so even if there are details in there that you can't quite wrap your head around or grasp, it's okay. But see if there is any part, even just one sentence, that somehow ignites something in you, inspires you, feels true. All right, so now I'm going to go to lesson 2. Actually, the easiest way to do it is to go home, scroll down, and it's already populated. Now, as before, you can read it through yourself or you can listen to the narrator. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play the narrator.
Lesson 2. I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning that it has for me. The exercises with this idea are the same as those for the first one. Begin with the things that are near you and apply the idea to whatever your glance rests on. Then, increase the range outward. Turn your head so that you include whatever is on either side. If possible, turn around and apply the idea to what was behind you. Remain as indiscriminate as possible in selecting subjects for its application. Do not concentrate on anything in particular, and do not attempt to include everything you see in a given area, or you will introduce strain. Merely glance easily and fairly quickly around you, trying to avoid selection by size, brightness, color, material, or relative importance to you. Take the subject simply as you see them. Try to apply the exercise with equal ease to a body or a button, a fly or a floor, an arm or an apple. The sole criterion for applying the idea to anything is merely that your eyes have lighted on it. Make no attempt to include anything particular, but be sure that nothing is specifically excluded.
We can set a timer for 1 minute and practice the exercise. I have given everything I see in this room all the meaning that it has for me. All right, let's begin. Okay. Okay. So enjoy the rest of your day. You want to practice this lesson again later in the day, perhaps before you go to bed from a new window in a different room, and just apply the idea without any kind of strain, just as a curiosity, simply following the simple directions and just noticing what arises as you do. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.